Over the last year, something powerful took shape. Not just a project, not just a platform, not just a blockchain, a community. A living, growing, moving community. A place where people came together around a shared belief, a shared vision, a shared sense that something bigger was happening. Because sometimes, before the world fully understands it, a few people feel it first. They feel the shift. They feel the timing. They feel that quiet pull towards something that matters. And over the last year, that feeling brought people together. Into rooms, into conversations, into moments, into relationships, into a growing culture that began to mean something deeper than technology alone. That community became trusted society, not just a name, a feeling, a presence, a place where belief could become visible, where strangers became connected by a common mission, where ideas became conversations, where conversations became conviction, and where conviction started turning into momentum. Because what makes a movement real is not only what gets built behind the scenes, it is the people who gather around it, the people who keep showing up, the people who choose to care, the people who see the potential before it becomes obvious to everyone else. And that is what this last year has been. A year of people finding each other, a year of vision finding its voice, a year of community beginning to form around something that felt early, important, and worth believing in. This is the story of trusted society, the human side of the mission, the culture around the ecosystem, the people behind the momentum, and the community that helped turn an idea into something real. Trusted society was never just about access. It was about connection. Connection to the vision, connection to the people, connection to the bigger picture of where this space is going. Because in every meaningful movement, there is a difference between watching from the outside and stepping into the room. Trusted society became that room, a place where people could learn, ask questions, listen closely, understand more, get closer to the mission, and feel like they were part of something still being written in real time. That matters, because belief gets stronger when people feel included. Confidence grows when people understand what they are part of. And momentum becomes real when people stop feeling like spectators and start feeling like participants. Over the past year, this community was shaped through consistency, through conversations, through updates, through shared language, through repeated moments of clarity that made the vision feel more tangible. It was built through leaders who kept showing up, through members who leaned in, through voices that helped translate possibility into something people could actually feel. Not hype, not noise, not empty excitement, something deeper, a growing sense of alignment, a growing trust in the process, a growing awareness that this was not only about where the industry had been, but about where it could go next. And that is what made Trusted Society different. It wasn't passive, it was alive. It invited people into the journey, into the evolution, into the unfolding of something still early enough to feel exciting, but real enough to feel significant. A place where the mission was not distant, it was personal. And over time, that kind of connection changes people. It changes how they listen, how they speak, how they show up, how they carry the message, how they bring others in. That is how culture starts. That is how trust deepens. That is how a community begins to become a movement. This past year was not built only online. It was built in rooms, in ballrooms filled with energy, in conversations between sessions, in moments before the cameras rolled, in handshakes, in hugs, in laughter, in long talks that carried on after the lights came down. It was built in live events, in presentations, in panels, in site visits, in founder meetings, in gatherings where people could feel the atmosphere for themselves. Because there is something that happens in person that cannot be replaced. You hear the message differently. You feel the conviction differently. You see the faces behind the vision. You experience the culture. And suddenly, what was once just an idea in your mind starts to feel real in your body. That is what this footage represents. Not just events, not just production, Not just another year of travel and stages and speeches. These were moments of formation, moments where belief got stronger, moments where curiosity turned into clarity, moments where people stopped wondering what this could become and started feeling like they were witnessing the beginning of it. And as the months moved forward, that feeling kept growing. Room after room, city after city, conversation after conversation. The faces changed, the venues changed, the settings changed, but the energy kept building. And so did the sense that this community was becoming more connected, more aligned, more confident, and more alive. That is what makes a year like this meaningful. Not just the milestones, not just the headlines, not just the measurable wins, but the invisible things that start becoming visible. The trust, the culture, the alignment, the bond between people who recognize that they are part of something early, something uncommon, and something that may matter far more than most people realize yet. That is what Trusted Society became over the last year. Not simply a collection of attendees, not simply a network of names, a real community. One built through presence, built through shared experience, built through proximity, built through time. And when that kind of community starts to take shape, momentum no longer feels theoretical. It feels undeniable. Because community changes everything. When people feel connected to a mission, they move differently. They listen differently. They speak differently. They carry the story with more conviction. They stop acting like they are waiting for permission to believe, and they start moving like builders, like contributors, like people who understand that what is being formed is bigger than any one individual moment. That is the emotional core of this last year. Not only what was built, but who built belief around it. Not only the infrastructure, but the people who gave it life. Not only the vision, but the community that gathered around it and said, "We see this, we feel this, and we want to be part of where this goes next." That is what Trusted Society represents. The people, the energy, the conversations, the loyalty, the presence, the shared conviction, the feeling of being in the right room at the right time with the right people. And moments like that do not happen often. Sometimes you only understand later how important they really were. Sometimes you only look back and realize that what felt like a gathering was actually the beginning of a culture. What felt like a conversation was actually the beginning of a movement. What felt like a year of events was actually the beginning of something far more lasting. And now, 1 year later, the feeling is stronger than ever. The community is more connected. The belief is deeper. The relationships are stronger. The identity is clearer. And the momentum is real. This is not just a look back. It is a reminder of what was built together. A reminder of what people felt in the room. A reminder that the strongest movements are never built by technology alone. They are built by people, by trust, by culture, by shared belief. And if this first year was about finding each other, about forming the culture, about laying the emotional foundation for what could come next, then the next chapter is about what this community can become together. This is Trusted Society, and this is only the beginning.